Hey everyone, Spaniard here, doing another review for everyone on our Geek Out channel. This review is going to be on Earwig and the Witch. I was really looking forward to this movie as I am a very big Studio Ghibli fan. Some of my favorites from the studio of pure genius Japanese animation, Spirited Away, which won a ton of awards, Princess Mononoke, which is bloody awesome, and then my personal favorite of all of Studio Ghibli film, My Neighbor Totoro. So it was kind of a shock to see that Studio Ghibli wanted to go in a different direction in a CGI type of animation style. This is, in fact, their first CGI film. And to be completely honest, I really hope it's their last. So, with that being said, I think you know the vibe of how the rest of this is going to go down into. But let's just go into detail like I normally do, breaking down the characters, the story, a little bit of the score as far as the music, and then my overall thoughts. So, what is Earwig and the Witch? I guess in the easiest sense of how I can explain this is it's a pretty boring, mediocre orphan story where the character Earwig, which as you can see here, is an orphan in a local town. And she's dropped off by this mysterious person at the very beginning of the film. And later on, you kind of figure out why, maybe. On coins to that, most orphanage type stories, they usually are very interested, the direct character, in this case, Earwig, in regards to finding their roots. Where do they come from? Why did they go there? In this particular fashion, she's more rebellious and annoying than anything. When I first watched this film, I watched it with my wife in English because she's not too big of a fan of following subtitles in Japanese. However, I am. So the English voice acting in this is absolutely terrible. I will say that. I would say probably the best voiced English character was the character of the Mandrake, which we won't get too much into, but it was a very low-level character. So for not even a third or maybe even fourth best character that was on for the entirety of the movie, being the best voice actor for English, it was pretty poor. However, I will say, after rewatching it in the Japanese style, how it was meant to be portrayed, the characters are definitely a lot more likable, and I would say a bit more realistic as well, as far as their personalities matching their tone of voices of how they were meant to be, which in most cases is the true trend of Japanese being then converted into English. Japanese usually wins out as far as personality and what the characters are absolutely meant to be. Now, that being said, the dialogue is all over the place. It really doesn't make sense at times. You don't really know why the characters are saying what they're saying, and then you kind of have a sense of what is going on. So, in short, the writing and the voice acting is pretty mediocre, unfortunately, which is not something you can say with the rest of Studio Ghibli films. Now, the animation itself looks like it could hit a home run, but then once you see the overuse of eyebrows and eyes and the hands not moving as much, there was not a ton of body language like you would see in other Studio Ghibli 2D animation style that they are very well known for. And that was pretty much a big bummer for me, especially seeing Pixar step it up with Soul and other animation studios really picking it up like DreamWorks and what have you. You look at those and you see, okay, this is the standard bar of CGI in regards to animation, right? In regards to animation. And when you see something like this from a well-known studio making an attempt, you really feel like they should have taken their time with it, or just honestly just gone with the regular 2D style. The story is there is none. We'll just say that. It just follows literally Earwig as she becomes adopted by this witch, which is known as Bella Yaga, and she's probably the most annoying character throughout the bunch. I was hoping for a, controversial kind of like, rivalry between the two, but it never really sparks. And then even towards the end, when things start becoming a little bit more understandable, I would say is the word, the movie ends. You're left with a bunch of questions. They definitely left it for a cliffhanger for a part 2, but there is no mention right now if there is even going to be a part 2. So this movie as a whole is a failure. There's no beginning, there's no middle, there's no end, and it is just, unfortunately, something that you really, really wanted to wish you never saw in theaters, which, again, this is currently on HBO Max, simultaneous release with theaters. So if you have HBO Max, it comes with your subscription, which is where my wife and I watched it. I'm really sad. I hope if they do want to continue the story, they'll look at all the critiques, look at all of their movies in the past, and they can really make something beautiful, but maybe just do it in 2D. I wouldn't recommend them to redo this whole movie in 2D because I feel like then that would show how much of a failure that it was. But if they do decide to do a remake of this in a 2D style and then follow it up with a part 2, or maybe just even combine the completion of a full story from beginning to end in true Studio Ghibli style, I would say that then that would be a huge success. I really love Studio Ghibli. Unfortunately, their CGI first try was not very well done, especially after the last, close to. I know it wasn't directly from Studio Ghibli, but Mary and the Wildflower was just absolutely beautiful. It was stunning, had a great story throughout. The characters are super likable, and it had that Studio Ghibli feel. This didn't have any of that. So unfortunately, I'm going to give Earwig and the Witch 1 out of 4 stars. I'm pretty sad about this, especially since I thought this was going to be like the first movie that I reviewed this year that I was going to be like absolutely wowed by. But all it made me do, honestly, was load up HBO Max and rewatch the Studio Ghibli films that I know and love. And personally, they are 10 times better than this one. So would I recommend seeing it if you're not a Studio Ghibli fan? No, because I don't think there's enough here for you to enjoy. If you are a Studio Ghibli fan and you're just interested to see like what they did as far as their take, as far as animation, give it a shot. If you don't have an HBO Max subscription, I would say just completely wait for it to come to digital or rent if you really, really want to see it. So unfortunately, that's the review for that. The only thing that I will say that was probably a good takeaway, the music at times was pretty decent. Their main theme song was played over and over and over again because you knew they were trying to like fixate that song into you. But overall, the rest of the music was okay. So, but I would say that maybe that was the best part about it, if at all anything. So let me know in the comments what you guys think of Earwig and the Witch. Was I too critical? Am I just too big of a Studio Ghibli fan? Let me know your thoughts. If you liked the video, please hit the like button. I would appreciate it. And then also subscribe. Thank you so much for your time, and everyone have a great day.